Well, hey everybody, it's the 24th day of April 2025. It's Thursday. I'm Jan Erickson, and this is As Above, So Below. Well, are you getting ready for the weekend? I sort of am. Let's see what we have here from the Elder Futhark bag. We have Sawillo. I don't think we've had Sawillo in a while. Sawillo is one of those as above, so below runes. It's Kenez forward and reverse, sort of skewed where it meets in the middle here. And so it's literally the light of spirit being drawn into your awareness and then expressed. But essentially it's a fire element rune. It's the rune of the will or the rune of the sun. It means spirit or energy, self-confidence, healing. It can be illumination. It can be the higher self. It can be also, given the as above so below presence of it, or presentation of it, if you will, it acts as a link between spirit and form. So higher consciousness, basically informing what we're doing today and expressing that out to others. It's sort of inhalation and exhalation, if you will. Inhale and exhale. Let's see. What do we have? What's fire? There's air. There's fire. Is this 2 dots? It is. So we've got Tristitia. Whereas Sawillo can be very positive and happy and well-being oriented. Tristitia is not. Tristitia is the complement of Laetitia. Right, is this Tristitia? And that's Laetitia. Laetitia is about joy and fellowship, whereas you've got a single dot up here for Laetitia, and so that's the active presence. That's the fire element. Everything else is passive, whereas Tristitia is the other way around. And so instead of grounding yourself in spirit, you're basically grounding yourself in the earth. Here, that's the active principle here. So it's very ego focused. Tristitia is sort of like getting stuck in perception, getting stuck in emotion, just basically getting stuck, and not allowing yourself to where is my calculator? There it is. And not, it's like holding grudges. It's condemnation. It's not being able to let go of sadness or loss, seeing everything through that lens. And so the answer, of course, is to draw spirit into your awareness so that you can move past that. Let's see, though, what the cards have to say. It's considered an evil rune by geomancers of old, simply because I think the ego is really the one calling the shots. And so you don't let the light in. It's darkness, whereas Tristitia, or rather Laetitia, might be more light-based. Tristitia is darkness-based. And so all of the runes in the Geomancy set, there's 16 total, but there's 8 concepts. And so think of it in terms of 8 continuums, where you have one on one end and one on the other, the complement of each. So Albus and Rubius, on one end you've got Albus the sage and the wise person and all of that. And then Rubius, you've got the misuse of force. In kind of like, and when it's really bad, it would be something that would be like sociopathic or something, that type of extreme continuum. Well, it's the same with all the other 7 concepts in Geomancy. So with Tristitia, you're really on the end of where the ego is controlling everything, and you really can't see what's in front of you. So let's cut the deck, take the lower half. Well, interestingly enough, you can say with Sawillo, it's not only the rune of the will, it's also the rune of the sun. We have the sun today. We also have the 2 of Wands and the 4 of Pentacles. I think I'm going to leave them in the order I drew them. And let's go ahead and do the numerology real quick. With Sawillo, you're talking about the 16th rune of the Elder Futhark. So there's 16. Oops, let me clear that out. 16. Suddenly I had a 35. And then 4 and 2 and 19. So 41. 4 and 1 is 5. So let me put this down here so I don't forget. I have to wonder here if the energy of Tristitia is impacting this card here, the Four of Pentacles. Here you have, I mean, in a sense, I guess I'll just back up. In a sense, I was looking to see if we had a run on anything. We don't, other than maybe the fire element, because the sun would be the fire element, and then Wands is too. And so we have a run on a very active, will-based, manifesting-based, success-based kind of energy there. But to do that, you know, with Tristitia, if you're hanging on to things, in a sense, you know, that's what the king is doing here. He's sitting out away from the kingdom. You can see that because you've got this dual line here, and he's out here, and the kingdom's back here. And so either he is being very miserly and hanging on to his wealth at the expense of the kingdom, or he does it so that the kingdom can survive. One of the two. I don't think it's necessarily hanging on to it in terms of his own greed. I suspect that it's trying to build the wealth of the kingdom maybe here, but it's interesting that he has it on display. And so and when he holds the center pentacle very tightly to his chest, it's like he's holding fast onto his wealth. Now, you can look at this as a conservative approach. You can look at it as miserly. But at some point, something has to give way when something needs to change, and something needs to be purchased, or repairs need to be made, or, you know, money needs to be spent, in other words. And so you can look at this as with Sawillo and Tristitia. This could be somebody that is essentially very secretive. He could be is very, but in a negative way, not just keeping things close to the vest. I just think that Sawillo is going to bring light to this and make sure that you can see what really is, instead of what you're caught up in, whatever drama you're caught up in. And so maybe with Tristitia, then you need to learn to let go a little bit of hanging on to everything so tightly. Excuse me. And so that's with Tristitia as well. And then with Sawillo, then it brings light to all of that. I think we can see it that way, because then you go out into the world and you walk through a doorway, essentially, of your own making. You have your skills, your skill set, your knowledge base here affixed behind you, and then you've got your staff over here on the other side. You've got this area that's cut away. This is probably up on a bridge or something, or on the top of a building. But he's clearly a man of means. He's a merchant. He's holding a globe in his right hand, and he's looking out over the bay. Essentially, anything is possible for him. And he's having to make a decision. 2 is about decisions. It's also about balance and legal matters and love and healing and well-being and reciprocity. But it's also about decisions. And he's having to make a decision about his future. Now, maybe the money that he's got here, could also have to do with his skill set, everything he's learned along the way, all of his resources, in other words, that he then uses to then go out and find something new for himself, to make his way in the world, or to change up and do something different. And that feeling of being stuck has to move somewhere. And Sawillo, being the rune of the will, it manifests it in a forward looking way, essentially. And then in the end, you have victory. You have the sun. The sun is, you see a child on the back of a white horse. You see a flag, a red flag waving. You see this stone wall right here, a masoned wall, essentially, brick wall. You have the sunflowers behind growing, and you have the sun with its rays, basically representing the creator, if you will. All the creative opportunity that this guy has had here, building his wealth, essentially, hanging on fast to his resources and being conservative in his approach. Then he's ready to go out and, maybe form his own business. He's saved money. He's gotten the education he needs. He's done everything he needs to do to build his resources and his skill set to be able to then make a decision about his future and then manifest it here in a successful way with the sun. It's almost like you're seeing the fruits of his labor manifested here in the sun. The sun is about happiness and fulfillment. It's about the self. It's about transformation. It's also about reunion and the light returning, essentially. And so with the 5 numerology for the reading, 5 is about change. It's about innovation and variety. It's also about protection. So whereas there may be an element of protection here, I think it's really been done in service to expanding your horizons and maybe, again, either finding another job or forming your own business, or perhaps if you have a business, you may want to take it in a different direction, for example. It could be anything like that. But it's the idea of letting go of sadness and grief and negativity and feeling like you can't get anywhere, and you rise above it with the energy of Sawillo, and you say, you know what, I've done all of these things. I'm going to see it in a different way instead of hiding in my home. I'm and amassing my wealth and doing what I'm doing there and not extending myself out into the world. Suddenly the higher self comes in through Sawillo and says, well, wait a minute, you've got all these resources. You've done your due diligence. You've gotten the education. You've saved the money. You've done what you have to do. Now it's time to do something with it and to make that decision to move in a different direction. And again, it could be that he's already got another thing going, but he wants to do something else, or change up a little bit in what he is doing. In other words, add some other kinds of focuses to the business he already has, maybe. To find a workaround, maybe, for things that are feeling very restrictive right now, that is restricting movement, in other words. And it could be financially related. It could be, again, with the tariffs, where the tariffs are so high that suddenly the product you've been buying overseas, you can't afford it now because of the tariffs. And so whereas you could afford just buying it, now this extra humongous amount of money that the bill is handed to you when you go pick up your stuff, right? And when it comes into port, well, then now all of a sudden what you thought was $5,000 is $10,000, and now you don't know where you're going to get the other $5,000, because the winter's maybe it's a seasonal business and you don't do much in the wintertime and your work is all done in the spring and summer and fall. And so you're focused on paying the bills during the wintertime when work is less. You don't have customers coming in as much because of the type of business you have. So maybe you need to find another way. You need to find another way to maximize what you're doing or change up entirely. But a decision needs to be made. And again, what you've held on to can now work for you in another way. Or if you're being restricted by somebody in charge and this doesn't reflect you, and someone in authority is like it's happening now in this country, is restricting businesses, A, by not telling the truth about all this, and B, just the actual fallout of, oh my goodness, the money I have, I don't have enough to pay this massive tax when everything comes into port. I don't have that, or gets delivered. Somehow I have to pay this tariff now, this tax on the stuff I just bought, and I don't have that money. And so now I have to figure out a way to either get the money or change up and do something else, so that I can carry on, essentially. So this could be what's happening. This could represent the government and what it's doing right now to harm small business, and well, any business really, but small business in particular. The farmers, the ranchers, the little shop owners that make up this whole country, basically. And they're all being impacted by, depending on where they get their goods. Now, if they get all their goods to do what they do right here, then that's fine. But if they have to go outside the country to get it, depending on what tariff they have to pay when the stuff comes in, well, and then if they all decide they're not going to do business with us anymore, then that's another problem, right? So in any event, you have the ability, you have the inner will to make a change and to protect yourself from all of the nonsense that's going on. So that's another way to look at this. And in the process, the sun is suggesting that you'll be successful when you do, that you'll find some happiness and fulfillment there. That you will have some success and some clarity over what it is you need to do now in the future going forward to basically sustain that success, if you will. So that's another way to look at it. But if it's not that, then again, this could just simply be saying, you know what, you've done your due diligence and you've increased your skill set and your resources, the money that you have to invest in something else. If it's not doing a business, maybe you're looking for a job in maybe another industry or somewhere other than where you live, and so you may have to travel. This could indicate a decision to go ahead and look elsewhere outside your immediate local area, where traveling you may have to move. But again, you have the resources to do that, and maybe whoever hires you, if you get hired by somebody in another state, there's some kind of a package where they will provide your moving costs for you. They'll give you the money for that, or reimburse you, or however that works. But there's a lot of companies out there that do that. They'll help you find a home. They'll maybe they have homes, and that if you're somebody in management or something, where they'll pay the first 6 months rent on it, and then you'll pick it up from there or something. But they'll provide moving costs for you as well. A lot of people can, depending on the job that you might be looking at, that they can negotiate. You can negotiate something like that with your future employer. That includes that, because it's costly. If you've got to move across the country, that's a lot of money to do that, to take all your stuff and move your kids and your spouse and, the family and the dog, the cat, what have you. It takes time and money to do that. And it's suggesting that maybe this will, if it is something like that it's going to turn out well with the sun here. And so you'll find happiness, success, and fulfillment in whatever choice you make here. So again, this could go in a variety of directions here. I don't want to necessarily read this as the bad guy, although it could be, especially if this is the king and it's representing the government and what the current government is doing that is so harmful. First off, by lying to the country about what a tariff is. That's the worst part, because you get people that have to suddenly are presented with a bill and it's like, well, I thought China had to pay that. It's like, no, we do. The business owner does. The buyer does. Whatever company is importing, if you're an importer, and then people here buy from you after that, it's a. Or if you're just the business itself and you're the business owner that's having to pay it, you will be the one to pay that tariff. It's a tax on you. It's not a tax on that country. It might motivate a country to if they start losing business, to bring their stuff here to make. But how long is that going to take? How many years? And what do people do in the meantime? How much loss do you get to experience? And so, it could be something like that. And without the clarity that you find both with the sun and with Sawillow, without understanding what the truth is, you get caught up in something that is somebody else's game that they're playing, and whatever ego gains this person gets from lying to everybody, it's not doing anything for the people that they are being lied to. It's harming them. And so at some point you have to pick yourself up, and you have to know what the truth is, and work from there. You'll get angry. You probably will, at being lied to. I don't know any of us who enjoys being lied to, especially when it comes to our material security. And if it's impacting something like that, that's just not okay. But it's suggesting here that you have more resources than you know, and you have the ability to make a decision to do something else that could be successful and lucrative and bring you happiness and fulfillment. But you've got to let go of the belief structure with Tristitia and the faith in maybe somebody, maybe this guy, who's telling you what he wants you to think, but it's not the truth. And you have to let go of that type of connection, and that type of getting stuck in perceptions that just are not true and aren't going to serve you going forward. So again, it could be something just as simple as you need to make a change in life. You need to make a different decision about your work and your career, and it's just time to do that. And it's not based on anything else external that's happening. It's just where you are in your life. And again, doing so, you got to let go of the fear of doing that, and realize that you have the resources necessary to do it, and it's time to make that decision. So either just something going on today, I guess, or something that still having to do with the atrocities going on in the government right now. So I don't know. It can apply either way. And so I hope it's just something that you've been thinking about for a while, and you're realizing that you need to do for yourself, and it's not related to anything external here, that's being forced upon you. So, but anyway, I guess that's it. That's it for a Thursday. That's all right, I guess. Think about it. See if it resonates. If not today, maybe tomorrow. And if not, hang on to it. And because who knows? You never know when a new path opens. And it can always be something that, is a little bit scary, but at the same time, it can make all the difference in your life. And staying stuck in the fear of it all, and not wanting to move in any direction, because at least I know what I have here. It's the devil. It's like, well, maybe that's the problem. Maybe you're too entrenched with the devil. So, and it would be better to move somewhere else and do something different. So anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. Check out the blog over at Stepping Aside. The web address there is imsteppingaside.com. The weekly posts come out in the midnight hour on Sunday morning. So the forecast will come out, and the correspondences for Work and Magic that week. If you're so inclined to do that, you can get some ideas there, and find out what the energies are for each day. They can either help or hinder something like that. And then come back again on Monday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.